Hello, people! Thanks for joining me. I'm Scott, and this is a Fender American Professional 2 that was once set up great, but now it's all buzzy. So I want to get rid of the buzz by setting it up and try to keep it set up so he doesn't have to bring it back. I'll show you how. My dog has fleas. Did you hear it? So the B and the E sound good. The low E sounds good, but it's the A, D, and G. Fleas. Let's zoom in here. See what's going on with the saddles. I just had another one of these HSS Stratocasters in for the same thing. He said, "You got to raise my action up. I need to play slide with a band called Tobacco Road. We're hitting the road. I see it. The saddles, the A string shouldn't be lower than the low E string. So these saddle adjustment screws, maybe they're just too sloppy. I mean, they're just turning way too easy. So I think we should put some blue Loctite on them. It won't permanently lock them in place, but it will create a little more resistance so that it's not so easy to turn these things. That way, hopefully, he won't have to come back for a setup in 5 months. Let's get that Loctite going. Okay, so measured at the 12th fret in 64ths, we have the low E at 4/64ths, which is okay for most people. The A string is 3/64ths. The D is about 2/64ths. And the G is 2.5, somewhere between 2 and 3/64ths. A lot of people don't like measuring things in half of 64ths, but they like millimeters, and some people like thousandths of an inch, decimal inches, but that's the way I'm comfortable doing it. So I'm going to shoot for 5/64ths on the low E and 4/64ths on the high E with a gradual step down per, each string will get a little bit lower and lower till it gets to 4/64ths over here. I decided to prop up the guitar like this so that as I drop in the Loctite onto the saddle adjustment screws, it will kind of flow back this way. I've got two different brands here. I've got the original Loctite Thread Locker Blue, and then I've got the Permatech Thread Locker Blue. Permatex. Let's get rid of the rest of this. Oh yeah, it's out. Okay. We're running on empty over here. I'm going to use a pipette. I'm going to drop the E saddle all the way down to expose some more of those threads. Actually do the same for all these. And then drop in a little bit on each. I'm using naphtha to clean. See, before I set my final height at the saddle, I want to come in and check the neck relief, which is reading 5/1000ths of an inch of relief, maybe 6. 6 is good. I like 6. So I can hold it steady here for a second. See what the gauge says there? Minus 0.006. When I wiggle it back and forth like this, it'll change, because the foot is it's kind of a square bottomed foot. It has a right angle to it, so that's why it's doing what it's doing. Okay, I raised them all, kind of eyeballing it, and I got and hit the nail on the head there, 5/64ths. Oh, just a little over 4/64ths. Maybe I can bring that one up just a skosh. Bring the A up. The D is, yeah, right about 4/64ths. Same with the G. The B can come down a little bit. And the E was already perfect at 4/64ths, and I must have put Loctite on it last time because it didn't want to budge. Maybe this blue stuff is stronger than I thought. The other thing I see right quick by holding the strings down right here is that neck pickup is way too close to that string. That can pull it right out of tune. It can actually make the sound of the string oscillate. Let's see if it's doing it. I'll show you what I mean. I'll put it on the neck pickup. Hear how the string, it's oscillating? I think it's mostly on the G. Okay, so I got the tremolo springs tightened to where the G string pulls up a minor third. The E pulls up a half step. And the B pulls up a whole step. That's the way we like it. Just noticed a little problemo there. Very loose. So here I've got Jack the gripper. Stick it in. Give it a slight turn. And she's tight as can be. I see a couple slight dents in the frets. Nothing major, but just enough where I think we should do a little recrowning and polishing. Be a shame for him to get out on stage and sound out of tune. Well, this one's for Matt Drummy. He plays in a couple bands, including Highway Natives. And Matt is a guitar teacher here in Nashville, so if you're watching from Nashville, Tennessee, he might be your guitar teacher. Or if you're looking for one, give him a shout. He graduated from Berkeley, and some of his students come here too, which is an extra bonus for me. One of them's coming this week. think this file's about lost all of its grit. I need to send it back to Stu Mac. It's not doing much. Behold, it's the 3-corner file. I don't use tape. Majority of the luthiers in this world just have a love affair with tape. They spend hundreds on stuff. I think this stainless steel stuff's way better than tape. For me, I don't use no tape. Because watch, I'm going to finish crowning them by going this way along the lay of the strings. And when you do it that way, you can burn right through the tape. So I take a 220. .320, maroon Scotch Brite, 4 Hun, 6 Hun, 8 Hun, sometimes I go like this, if it's a good customer. 1K, I do the gray Scotch Brite pad. I own stock in Scotch Brite. 3M. Just kidding. Now we got 12 Hun. $15 Hun. $2K. The main thing when you're doing this fret polishing, I've noticed as a player, is you want to concentrate on the middle of the frets. Because when we bend a string, we go towards the middle. We don't go out over the edge. We always go in towards the middle, and that's where the money is. The middle. I like to take the Dynaglide and a little piece of steel wool. This is 4/0 steel wool. And I get it nice and wet with the Dynaglide. And man, does that polish up a fret nice. Almost done. We got some String Joy strings. They claim that they're made in Nashville, Tennessee, but I wonder if they're just kind of repackaged here in Nashville, Tennessee, because I don't really think of Nashville, Tennessee as a big steel town. Okay. Little naphtha to clean. Oh my goodness, this guitar is beautiful. I just love me a Stratocaster. There's a lot of packaging on these strings. Tempered steel. Crafted in Nashville, Tennessee. 12 bucks. Little story about this guitar right here. This is a David Thornhill's Gibson ES 345. He played with Loretta Lynn for 55 years, right up until she died. Their last gig was 2017. But now they're going back out on the road with Always Loretta, the ultimate Loretta Lynn tribute band. And this is going to be his main acts. He wears a tux on stage. He and the steel guitar player are the only two original coal miners left. But this guitar, I got it all fixed up for him. If you like Loretta Lynn, check out Always Loretta. Okay, we're reaching the finish line here. I like to leave about 3 or 4 winds under each string when it goes through the post. I don't like to overwrap this style on a Strat. I just pull about 6 inches up above, and I like to get about 3 or 4 full winds under the string as it comes through that post there. And same thing for the others. I might like to get a few extra wraps as the string gauge diameter goes down a little bit. I'll get 5 or 6, 7 wraps on the very last string, the first string. Am I doing this backwards? You know, the high E is the first string, but I always start on the 6th string and work my way up, or I work my way back to 1. Old David told me some stories when he was here. He said he had a 59 Les Paul Standard Sunburst. And back in the 70s, same thing that happened to the burst happened to this guitar. The lacquer started flaking off the neck. And he was doing a gig in Lansing, Michigan, and he drove Loretta's tour bus over to Kalamazoo and told him he'd like to have the neck refinished. Well, 6 months later, they called him up to say it was ready, and they said, where would you like us to send it? And he said, how much do I owe? And they said, no charge. He said, okay. Well, when he got it back, they'd refinished, stripped and refinished the entire guitar, resprayed the sunburst and everything, because that's what they do over there. It's crazy. Anyways, 30 years later, he went down to Gruen with it to sell it, and George said, man, if this guitar wouldn't have been refinished, it'd been worth about $200,000, but we're only going to be able to give you about $7,000 for it because it's been refinished. That's some story, huh? I bet you George found someone to pay $100,000 for it. I've never been to Gruen or Carter. Too busy. Plus, I already have too many guitars. You know how many guitars I'd buy if I walked in one of those places? I'd probably spend like $5 grand for sure. I don't need any guitars.